We kind of have an idea now as to what the team is going to look like for LSU in the Texas Bowl. The Kinder's Texas Bowl, I believe, is what we're working with there. I could not tell you what Kinder's is, but that's probably the reason they sponsor the bowl game. I'll probably find out between now and New Year's Eve. But we're getting announcements to who's in and who's out. The first to announce, of course, was Will Campbell back a couple of weeks ago, and he said he's going to move on. You understand that. Emory Jones followed suit there. Seen Mason Taylor decide that he's done. And yesterday, Kyren Lacy announced that his LSU career had come to a close. And then you had Zy Alexander and Braden Swinson announce that they are, in fact, going to play. And look, I've been on the record, and I think I hold the same belief really as just about everyone, that I'm okay with players deciding that this is not going to be something they're going to participate in. I think a lot of people were in a negative state of mind when Garrett Nussmeier said he wasn't going to play in the Texas Bowl a couple of years ago to preserve his red shirt. At this point, I think a lot of LSU fans that felt that way then probably don't feel that way now because he's got an extra year of eligibility. And quickly after Garrett Nussmeier decided he wasn't going to play in the bowl game and wanted to preserve that red shirt, they made the rule that the bowl games don't count against your red shirt, so he would have been able to play. And I think that's the right thing to do. But Garrett made that decision, and now it's paid off for LSU because he's got another year to play college football. And then when you're talking about guys who don't want to play because they're risking themselves in the draft, I'm okay with it. It's just a different era. I talked about this to y'all last week when we were discussing Emory Jones and him moving on. Bowl games used to be, really, really cool deal. I looked forward to them every year. You were playing a team that you didn't necessarily play all that often. A lot of times they were in a different location. It's during the holidays. It's just it was a cool deal. And now they've just been diminished. Y'all know that. And so I just don't necessarily mind when players decide they're not to. On that same token, though, I will salute those players and say, hey, yeah, I'm gonna lace them up and go play. And that's what Zy Alexander and Braden Swinson have decided to do. So when LSU plays in this game against Baylor, you're going to be without your two offensive tackles, which we talked about yesterday, gives you a chance to plug some new guys in there. Whether you move Miles Frazier out to tackle, whether it's Weston Davis, Tyree Adams, I'm not sure how they'll handle it, but you're going to be without those two guys. You're going to be without your mainstay at tight end as well as your backup tight end who's in the portal. So Trey Green's going to get a long look there. And then Kyren Lacy moves on, so you're going to have to kind of duct tape things together from a wide receiver perspective with Xavier Thomas and Aaron Anderson. Trey Green kind of plays in that mold as well. You'll figure it out. They don't have a lot of depth there without Kyren, and you realize that C.J. Daniels is gone, and you don't have Kyle Parker because he's hurt. So you're struggling with depth there. I don't know if Jelani Watkins can get out there and play a little bit. Shelton Sampson has moved on. Landon Ibieta has moved on. So they're going to have to be creative, and those wide receivers are going to have to play a significant amount of snaps, whichever ones are healthy and ready to go. It's not like you can limit that by playing a bunch of two tight end sets. You don't have a second tight end. So it's going to be a little bit makeshift on the offense, and Garrett Nussmeier is going to have to hold it together. As far as the defense goes, getting Braden Swinson and Zy Alexander back is a big deal. You now, I'm assuming, may not have a Savion Jones. There's a possibility you don't have Major Burns either, but you're pretty healthy on the defensive side of the ball, and you've got pretty good buy-in from guys that want to play. You've got your best pass rusher, you've got your best cover corner, your best tackler is Whit Weeks in the middle of the defense, and of course he's going to play. Your second corner is Ashton Stamps. I'm assuming that Gio Paez and Paris Shand are going to play. We haven't seen any sort of announcement from them. So I think safety, you're a little bit short because you lost Jordan Allen. I don't know if Major Burns is going to play or not. Sage Ryan's in the portal, so you're going to have Deshaun Spears, and kind of we'll see what's available there at safety. But you're in pretty good shape from a defensive perspective in this game. Offensively, it's going to be interesting. You've got your quarterback and you've got your running backs ready to go. I think Josh Williams will play in this game back in his hometown of Houston. But it's just one of those deals where you handicap this thing. And I feel like that it's not massively one-sided. 4 years ago with LSU and Kansas State, you were looking at a massively one-sided deal. Kansas State had Deuce Vaughn play, and they had their mainly their full complement players. LSU was decimated. The year after that, LSU went and played the bowl game, and LSU kind of had their team together, and Purdue was just absolutely decimated. Their quarterback, Aiden O'Connell, was there. Their all Big Ten wide receiver had bailed. Their coaching staff had gone to Louisville. Like they were a shell of themselves at that point. Last year, even though Jaden Daniels didn't play as the Heisman Trophy winner, you did have an old, capable quarterback, and Garrett Nussmeier, we know, went out there and threw for over 300 yards and led the game-winning drive. And Wisconsin had a lot of buy-in in that game, so it was fairly evenly matched. I don't know what the deal is at Baylor. We talked to Chris Blair yesterday. He's got friends at Baylor. We haven't seen, at least publicly, a massive amount of opt-outs here, and Baylor's won 6 games in a row, and they feel like they've kind of righted things under Dave Aranda. So I say all of this to basically say one thing. You're looking at a fairly evenly matched bowl game, which for those that are still 100% locked in and ready to go makes things a little bit more exciting. The outcome was predetermined between LSU and Kansas State. The outcome was predetermined between LSU and Purdue. That just was what it was. I don't believe in this instance the outcome is predetermined. I think Baylor has got more of its guys. I think LSU, while compromised at some positions, has enough to go out there and compete. I think LSU at full strength is significantly better than Baylor. I think this kind of levels that playing field a little bit. And look, I could be dead wrong about that. I will leave that door open. There's a chance that Miles Frazier is a bad tackle, that the guards they put in, whether it's Mabenga or Bordelon, can't really play, and Tyree Adams is a bad left tackle, and Baylor rushes the passer like crazy, and LSU can't compete. But that would be a little bit surprising to me. It would be a little bit surprising if LSU flat couldn't block Baylor. It was not surprising to me that John Trey Kirkland did not complete 25 passes for 290 yards and 3 touchdowns. That didn't surprise me. It did not surprise me that LSU annihilated a Purdue team with no backbone. It would surprise me if this one got completely one-sided. And so that's, I think, a positive thing. I'm trying to be a little bit careful, I'll be candid with you, in like just completely trashing the bowl game, because I don't really feel that way. I feel it's insignificant to the program as a whole. But it is an opportunity for LSU to put the helmets on and go play in a football game. And I think the way that I'm choosing to approach it from a coverage perspective and from a fan perspective, and I never shy away from that on this microphone either, the way I'm choosing to look at this is I'm going to pull for them. I hope they do great. If things go badly, I'm just not going to get that emotionally invested. Like when Alabama comes into Tiger Stadium and wins that game by 40 points, like I'm moping walking to do that postgame show. Like that's an emotional tug on me to have that happen. That's not going to happen on New Year's Eve. I'm going to do the post-game show, going home and eat dinner with the wife, and whether they win or lose, it's not going to be that big deal. I kind of felt the same way with the Wisconsin game last year. I hope that some of these young players that we see, like I talked about yesterday in our segment, the 5 things I want to watch, I hope some of these young players play well, and that'll make me feel a little bit better about the future of the team. But if things don't go extremely well and Baylor wins the game by 14 points, it's just I can't quite climb that emotional hill with the Texas Bowl or the Gasparilla Bowl or the Belk Bowl or the Duke's Mayo Bowl or the Birmingham Bowl or what. I don't even know the tie-ins anymore. But I realize that I do have a responsibility both on LouisianaSports.net and here to give this game some coverage, because I know that there are a lot of you out there that absolutely are excited for the bowl game. I think you're probably a little bit in the minority, but it is what it is. And I feel like as I analyze this game, the first thing I wanted to do before we got into really anything was to look at this and go, okay, is this an evenly matched football game personnel-wise? And I think it is, which certainly makes it more interesting than some of the games that we've seen in recent past. So it'll be LSU and Baylor on New Year's. We don't have a ton of shows between then and now. We've got Monday of next week, and I think we've got Thursday and Friday of next week. And at that point, it's time to play. So there's only 3 shows. It's almost like Tuesday of game week as far as how much we have time to talk about this. So we'll get into a little bit starting on Monday with what this is going to look like. But I wanted to, that's kind of my opening blanket statement on this game, that, hey, we do have one that we should be able to pay attention to, because it's not just a complete joke like some of these games have turned into. Like the poster child for that is always going to be Florida State going to play against Georgia last year and just having nobody and losing by 80. That's going to be the one that rings the loudest nationally. But we've seen 2 of them here in Baton Rouge as well with LSU. So that's a situation as we start to look at this game. I think it's worth talking about from that perspective. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.